Okay, here we go. A new video installment today. This is a 1949 Packard Super 8 Deluxe. It's a 23rd series, so it makes it a model 2372. Like I said, Super 8 Deluxe. This is one of 1,289 Super 8 Deluxes made for the 23rd series, and approximately 400 of them were 49s. The rest would have been 1950s, or 1950 model year. This car is kind of a piecemeal a little bit, but it was found intact, but all of the chrome when I got it was off of it. Some of it was missing, although what you see missing off the sides of it now, I do have all the parts that go on the sides. But it was a barn car. It wasn't running when I found it, but it didn't take too much with this one to get it to run. All the paint that's on it is original. The interior still has all its original upholstery. And it was found in southeast Ohio, just inside the Ohio line on Route 30. A friend of mine sent me some Polaroids. This just tells you how long ago. I've had this car about 12, 13 years. And he sent me a couple Polaroids with a letter that he saw this on the side of the road. Wasn't sure if it was a custom made or not because all the chrome had been pulled off and was put in the trunk. But it turns out it's a Super Deluxe. And I saw it and I said, well, I think I have enough parts to maybe put this car together and make just kind of a running barn car out of it. And that's exactly what we did here. As you can see the back, it has the Custom 8 style rear grills, which only the Super 8 Deluxe and the Custom 8s had it. And the one piece that was unique to a Custom 8 that you never found on a Super 8 is you had a molding that ran up here and it ran all the way down the side of the car. But on a Super 8s and the Standard 8s, it ends right there. But on a Custom 8, it actually continues all the way around the trunk and around the other side. And those moldings are 23rd series only and Custom 8 only, and would probably be incredibly hard to find. Hard enough to find for a 22nd series, let alone a 23rd. So we know this is definitely a Super 8. It's the serial numbers for a Super 8, everything, it's the Super 8. So some people might mistake it for a Custom 8, but it's not. It was sold new in Milton, Pennsylvania at Sam Abrams Packard. I did look this dealer up and I was actually able to retrieve a couple photographs of the building, the dealership as it looked back in the day, and that building is still standing to my knowledge. And then apparently I think it might have been sold at another PA dealership. This is probably the used car lot that bought it wholesale from the Packard dealer when they traded it in. It still has some of its little badges of honor of both being a new and a used car anyway. Kind of walk around this side. Again, I apologize for bad camera work, but doing this with a phone camera is not the easiest thing sometimes. But we get a good walk around this car. Of course, it has the Custom 8 style grills in the front. And I'll point this out on video now. These two pieces of chrome here are 23rd series only, Super 8 and Custom 8. And even if it has the the horizontal bar Super 8 grill, they're the same moldings. They are incredibly hard to find. It took me 6 years to find those, because those were the two parts that were missing, and the lower grill was missing, so I had to find the pieces to make all this together. The upper grill was there, that's the one that came with it, and it actually was pretty nice. So it all cleaned up, and a little fitting, a little banging with a hammer to get them to fit right, because they were really kind of hand fitted to the car, and it turned out pretty good. That grill project took me a weekend just to do that, but was worth it in the end. And of course, we have the Cormorant. As many Packards of this era did. And you actually had your choice of hood ornaments when you bought these, but usually the senior cars almost always, if not always, had a Cormorant on them. And anyhow, a little more features about this car. Of course, you see it's got an auxiliary spotlight on it, and if I turn it so we can see it, it does have the Packard crest on it. This car, the parts that I had for this car came from another car. It was a custom-made, a 22nd series that I was trying to restore. And I had bought all kinds of parts to try to restore that car, but it was in very, very bad condition. Although it ran good, but it was rusted away pretty badly. So it became a parts car when I bought the custom-made, which I've already shot a video of. And I used a lot of the stuff that was with that car or on that car. Some of those trim pieces, like the rear bumper, came from that car. And I decided to kind of, this one here is basically like a funeral lead car. It's like a commercial car, but it's not a long wheelbase. And I believe that's what this one was actually possibly used for. And so was my other car, so I kind of lucked out there. But, and I do have the rear hubcaps and skirts. It's just that I had been working last year, well, late the year before, I had to do some axle bearing repairs, and the hubcaps don't quite want to stay on those tabs, so I just leave them off for now. I'll get to them at some point to tighten them up to get them back on so they stay on. But here's the interior. And of course we have the Super 8 dashboard, which doesn't have the extra trim on the glove compartment door, more like a standard 8. And a gauge cluster here. You have all your gauges there, your clock and speedometer, temperature gauge, charge meter, oil pressure, fuel gauge. This one does have overdrive. It is not ultramatic drive, it's standard shift 3-speed manual with overdrive. Has the 327 engine, or well, originally had it. Somebody has since replaced that engine. It now has a 288. I think this just, they put in what they could find. The car did spend some time in Canada and was re-imported back into the United States. But give a kind of a glance around the back there. I had the seats kind of covered up. They're not in the best of shape, but they are intact. But that is the correct upholstery for a Super 8. That's exactly what it should look like. And of course the headliner. And it has a few mouse holes and moth holes in it. But it could stand a reupholstery job. But for now we just throw a cover over it and I don't have to look at it. That's the $5 upholstery job. And those are the door panels. Of course you can see they're kind of got some water stains. But that's what the upholstery panel should look like on a Super 8. They're different from each model has a different door panel. From a standard 8 to a standard 8 Deluxe, a Super 8, and Super 8 Deluxe I believe are identical. Of course the custom 8s have the extra wood trim. And if it's a 23rd series custom 8, you would not have crank windows, you'd have hydraulic windows, hydraulic seat, power antenna, which this car did have a power antenna. Anyway, open up the back door here. You can see some of the funeral car stuff in here. But anyway, like a lead car or a family car, it's basically how this was used. So it's not, a divided car or a limo, which is not uncommon. A lot of these were used as funeral cars. Packard was really the first with the modern to kind of really market the modern funeral cars we know them today. And I'll show you under the hood here real quick. And I'm going to have to apologize, so you're going to get a top view of the steering column while I open the hood, because this is a two-handed job. Bear with me one moment. There we are. Of course, it's got this Packard, the venerable Packard straight 8 engine. Like I said, 3-speed manual overdrive transmission. Overdrive works. This engine is actually the wrong engine. The original engine would have been a 327. This has actually got a 1950 288 in it. And I'm going to replace the engine at some point because this one does smoke kind of bad. And I think I can hear a slight rod knock, although it does maintain a solid 28 pounds of oil pressure even when it's hot, which isn't the best, but it isn't terrible either. And it runs smooth. And it always starts on the first try, virtually every time. I've never had any trouble getting it started once I kind of went through and tuned it a little bit. It seems to run pretty stable, doesn't run hot or anything. So it's a good rebuildable core for another project. The engine I'm putting in is going to be out of a 53. Came out of a 53 Packard with a 327 hydraulic lifter, high compression head, and 4-barrel carburetor. So that ought to kind of boost the power in this a little bit. It ought to be a real strong runner, especially with a manual trans. But give you a quick start up here. There she is running. Like I said, it runs pretty smooth, all things considered. But catch a little bit of that exhaust burble from the other side back here. But anyway, thought you'd like to get a good look at it. And anyhow, I'm going to be signing off here.